welcome you all back to the first international webinar, AI and Data Analytics, hosted by Department of Information Technology, Pondicherry College of Engineering. I thank God Almighty for giving this wonderful opportunity to host this international webinar. It's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ramakrishnan, who is working as a lecturer, CIS, Higher College of Technology, Dubai. Now, I'd like to welcome our chairman, Sri Pan Robert Singh, in his absentia, our principal, Dr. G. Najrajan, in his absentia, our beloved HOD, Dr. Manju C. Tayamal. Next, I'd like to welcome our speaker. And finally, I feel too happy to welcome you all the participants. Once again, I welcome you all. Now, I hand over this session to our speaker, Mr. Ramakrishnan.
Okay. Thank you for the welcome address, and I'm really thankful to the management of Pondicherry Engineering College for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge to a host of audience. And I believe at the end of the session, you might have received some knowledge from me. I'm sure about that. And every time I share, I feel that I'm going to learn something from you as well. Okay. So without wasting much time, let's just move on to the session. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, can see the screen. Please confirm me once you are able to see my screen.
Okay, sir, we can see.
Okay, thank you. So as you know, let me give a small introduction about myself. My name is Ramakrishnan, as she mentioned the welcome address. So I'm currently working as a lecturer in Higher College of Technology in UAE, and I have experience. I have 15 years of experience both in education as well as in the IT industry. So I worked for different companies like Tata Consultancy Services, Wipro, IBM India, and some few, to name few. And I have got certifications in from IBM for blockchain as well as AI. So I got my IBM certified AI analyst last year in 2019, and I'm happy to share about this. Aim of this particular session is to just give a spark about AI and data analytics. Okay, so I'm sure at end of this session it will enthusiast you to go and search for these topics and develop these skills further. Okay, so let me just quickly share what is the agenda for today. Okay, so before I move on, I would like to acknowledge the contents in these slides. We are going to use only for the research and knowledge sharing purposes. And I have used a lot of images, graphics, infographics, data, facts, etc. And all these are taken from different sources in the internet. And I really acknowledge those authors and all their efforts in making up this. Okay, so this is the agenda. So first I'm going to talk about the data analytics. I'm going to give an introduction about the data analytics. So here we discuss about what actually the data and what is the information and all that. We are going to cover that. And then I'm going to give you introduction about AI. And then I'm going to say how AI and data analytics are interrelated. Why this topic is very, very popular nowadays. We are going to discuss about that. And I'm going to highlight what are the most used AI algorithms in current situation or scenario. And I'm going to quickly discuss about some of the use cases and interesting use cases that have been used for a long time, as well as during this particular pandemic time, how AI is very much useful. I'm going to cover about that. And finally, the conclusion and Q&A. So this is the agenda planned for today. Okay, right. So before I move on to introduce what is data analytics, I'm sure most of you, I believe there are a lot of students also in this session. So I put all my contents in a basic way, but I'm sure it has covered most of the content that is required to start your first step towards data analytics and AI. Okay, so right. So let's just start with this one. Okay, so what I'm going to give you 60 seconds time. So what you need to do, just have a look around the timer. Okay, don't look at the timer alone. Look around the timer and what you are trying to see. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute time. Okay, so let the timer run. You just try to you just try to go through. Let me just open my laser pointer. Yeah. So okay, when the timer is running around, you try to go through all these things. Okay, the around the data, around the information, all that. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute time. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Right. So I'm sure most of you have guessed about this one, right? So if you see around, there are so many things. For example, if you take this one, it says about there are 600 plus new videos, and here it says about uh, 13,000 plus iPhone applications and all that. So what is all these? These are all basically when you are watching this particular video, when you are watching this particular slide. So within 60 seconds, there are 600 plus new videos have been uploaded in YouTube. Okay, globally. Okay, and then when the time you are watching this one, there are 13,000 plus iPhone applications has been downloaded. Okay, the 60 seconds, and there are more than 6 million search queries have been entered in Google. Okay, there are more than 80,000, around 80,000 wall posts in Facebook. Okay, so you can see here that is what this particular slide shows is the explosion of data. Okay, so this is all due to the people are connected everywhere. Wherever you go, the people are connected, and people can have access to the internet 24 cross 7 365 anytime, anywhere, and any network. They can connect from any network. So that is the world we are living in now. So we are living in the age of data explosion, where within 60 seconds all these things are happening, right? Right. So now you can see this for us just looks like a number, right? So 600 plus new videos, it's a number, right? And then 13,000 is just a number. 12,000 new ads posted on somewhere. Skype, 3 lakh, 3,070,000 calls in Skype. So all these looks like a number, right? So you can ask me how these numbers are useful. What can I do with these numbers, right? What is the significance of only these numbers? What can I do with these numbers? Okay, so let me take you to the next slide to answer this. Okay, right. So let's say I just start with something. Okay, I just put something on the board, or I just show something on you, something to you. It's 40. So what do you infer from this? This 40 can be the age of a person, right? Okay, so it can be a price of an item, yeah, and it can be the number of people, or it can be size of your shirt, right? It can refer to anything. It's just a number, right? So with this number, what I'm going to do, I am going to add something extra to it. I'm going to add something other 40 degree. Now you can at least relate this 40. When I say 40 degree, you can immediately relate that this is related to some weather or a temperature, right? So this may be related to temperature. So 40 degree, right? So I say the 40 degree centigrade. Now I added another information to that. Now I say that is 40 degree centigrade or C, right? Or Celsius, whatever. So here now you can say, okay, now you can say that, okay, this is definitely related to a temperature. So when I start with a number, it doesn't have any meaning. But when I added something to it, I understand that this is related to the temperature. Now I add some more detail to it. I say 40 degrees C Dubai. Now you can clearly understand that the temperature in Dubai is currently 40 degrees centigrade. This is giving some very good information for us, right? So when the next step, when I know the temperature in Dubai is 40 degrees centigrade, now you might have guessed whether what type of climate it is, whether it is going to be very hot or very cold. Of course, it's going to be very hot, right? So you got an idea that it's going to be hot. Now you need to move out of your house for something to buy or for shopping or whatever. Okay, so now you have some data with you, some information, you have got something, it is hot outside, and you can now say, if I want to go out, you have to wear cotton clothing. Okay, you have to use cotton clothing, and you have to use sunglasses or sun creams or whatever, and you have to say stay indoors if possible, right? So what happened here basically, if you see, we started with just a number, right? So what actually it is transformed. So there are three stages in this. Okay, first we started with a number, right? So if you say 40 is a data, correct? So let me use a pen. Okay. If you see 40 is a data, correct? 40 degrees again a data, 40 degree C is again a data, and 40 degree C Dubai is also a data. Just a data. But when I go to the next stage, I know that I got some knowledge, right? So I know that in Dubai, if I know that outside the temperature is 40 degrees centigrade, so I got a knowledge that's going to be very hot, right? So I got the knowledge that's going to be very hot. So based on this data and knowledge, so what can I do? I can take some decision or I can take some action. So that's what we are doing. So that is the power of data. Okay. So this particular slide is just to show you how the data is powerful. We cannot, so as you know, most of the countries around the world are digitalized, right? Most of the countries, right? Almost 80% of the countries or 90% of the countries, they use lot of digital transactions, and most of the organizations, companies and organizations and industries, they have large volume of data with them. Okay, so now these companies started looking, so what can I do with this data? I have the data for last 20 years, I have data for last 10 years. Should I just remove all my data from my system, or should I delete all this data? What can I do with this these huge volume of data? Shall I do something out of it? Okay, so that is where the data analytics comes into the picture. Okay, so from data that can be converted into knowledge, from knowledge the companies can take some action or decision. Okay, so that's why we are trying to introduce what is data analytics. Okay, so as we know that data is not the same as knowledge. Okay, so when I say 40 is a 40, as I said, it can relate to anything. Okay, you can relate that particular number 40 to anything, right? It is not knowledge, but when it goes through different stages, I can know that I can able to understand. When I started uh, dig deep into this data, I get some knowledge about the data, right? Right. So data is just a recorded fact, okay? And this no data is converted in information when I properly processed and systemized. Okay, when I properly process this data can be converted into an information. Okay, so from this information, okay, when it is going to give some advantage for me, what kind of advantage? Let's say based on the data, it may be help me to develop my company further, or it may help me to help me to understand what I am doing wrong when I am going in loss. Okay, and also it can help me to find out is there any disease is coming going to affect in the future, and what kind of action I can take. So the knowledge is the everything that basically comes from the processed data, nothing but the information. Okay, so that is what we discussed from the previous one. Once you get the knowledge, the next step is to take some action. So that will help you to take some decision. So that is basically the journey of this. So in order to understand the data analytics, that is the simplistic journey of a data. So data as it is a data, okay, is a recorded fact, but this data has to be processed properly if you want to get some useful information. Okay, so this useful information can be called as knowledge, and based on this knowledge, whether this is going to help me to take some decision or take some action. Okay, so that is where the data analytics comes into the picture. That is the whole purpose of data analytics. Okay, right. So if you want to tell me, if you want to define the data analytics, so data analytics nothing but the process of understanding and analyzing the data. Okay, so first one I wanted to cover insights. Okay, so as I told you, I have the data for last 10 years or 15 years. So what can I do with that? Is there anything hidden in this data? So what can I do in that? How can I uncover the insights from the data? Okay, so that is where the first one. So the data analytics process will help you to uncover the insights from the data. Okay, and this data will help me to get some knowledge. Okay, this whole process will help me to transform the data to knowledge. Right. Okay, so I can use this data to understand the trends, to predict the trends on anything. Okay, it can be related to the sales, or it can be related to the number of people affected, or it can be related to my success, or it can be related to my failure, or it can be related to the temperature. You can keep on saying on. Okay, you can keep going on any kind of trends. So these huge volume of data is going to help me to understand and detect what is the trend, what the data says about it over the year. Okay, I can easily detect the trends. So data analytics is a process that will answer your unanswered questions. Yeah, of course. So some of the questions you may not, in a business domain, you may not be able to answer some of the questions. But if I have the 10 years of data, if I have the 5 years of data, if I have the 15 years of data, I can try to understand, is there anything, any questions that I can get answer from my data? Okay, so the data analytics process will help you to find that. And finally, telling a story through data analytics is very, very popular. Okay, so you can just search in the internet and like saying about telling a story through data analytics. You will find wonderful and awesome material, awesome videos that people take the data and how they are effectively telling a story. It has a real impact it has a very good impact in the real time in many places. So one of the stories, one of the very popular person, I don't remember the name of the person, the data analyst, data scientist, his style is to tell a story. So he used to analyze the data from the uh, uh, different states in United States, and he used to analyze the data, and he used to put his data in a story format. So anyone who's and many government organizations, after hearing the story, they have taken some action, maybe to improve the parking or to improve the pedestrian areas or to protect the civilians or whatever. Okay, so telling a story through data analytics is very, very popular, and that is one of the very biggest advantage the data analytics is having. Okay, so to repeat, the data analytics is a process that is going to help you to uncover the insights or the hidden information. It will help you to transform a numbers or the recorded fact in an useful knowledge. It is going to help you to detect what is the trend going on for the last 10 years, and also it will help you to predict as well. Also, it is going to help you answer any unanswered questions. And finally, through a data analytics process or a journey, you can tell a story about it. Okay, so that is what all about the data analytics. Okay, so when we talk about data analytics, as you know, the core for data analytics is the data. So now we need to know where the data is coming from. Very simple. Every day we are sharing the data. Can anyone here attending this seminar, can you say that I am not sharing any data to anyone? Provided if you are using an internet enabled mobile. Simple. Internet enabled device. When you are in the internet, knowingly or unknowingly, we all share the data. Correct? We all share the data. And the millennials, for example, if you take, we download and install many applications, right? So every time we install application, is asked for so many things. This app wants to access access your gallery. We say, yeah, yes. This app wants to access your contacts. Yes. This app wants to access your what else? Microphone. Yes. We say yes for everything when we are installing an app. What is that we are actually doing? We are agreeing to share our data, correct? When I say that, when I am just allowing any app to access my gallery, I am agreeing to share my gallery information, okay, my gallery photos to this app. When I say that I am agreeing to access my microphone, yes, they can use my microphone anytime, even I am not using that. When I am not using my microphone, they can make use of it, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, we are sharing our data on a day-to-day basis if you are connected to the internet. Okay, so you should agree for that. You cannot disagree with that. Okay, now we see where this data is coming from. The very first thing, more as I said, these are all personal data. So every time I connect to the internet, I am knowingly or unknowingly sharing the data. Okay, every time I use the map, I am sharing the data about where I'm going. Every time I search for a particular shopping brand, I am sharing a data about what is my interest. Every time I'm going to the Facebook and like something, I'm sharing about my personal behavior. You can list n number of things in that list, right? So personal data, the data from people, when they are connected, when we are connected, we share a lot of data. Okay, so these data is being collected in different sources. When you are in Facebook, yes, the Facebook may collect the data. When you're using Google Map, yes, Google is collecting some data. Correct. So these data, of course, there are some rules. I mean, there are agreements and terms and conditions. Everything is there. But the point here is we are sharing the data. So personal data is the maximum volume of data that we are sharing across the internet. Okay. The second source is a global data. Okay. Now you know what when I'm meaning global data. You can know that every time when I'm opening the news channel, I can hear a lot of data about what COVID-19, right? So we know that this particular region has more data. This country is going up, down, and new cases here, there. All these are global data. These data are from unplanned events, right? Like it is not only with the COVID. It can be any unplanned disasters, right? It can be the volcano eruption, or it can be from uh, flooding somewhere, or it can be from anywhere, snowing somewhere, whatever. So this global data is another chunk of data that is coming when it is all things are connected. Okay. And second one, the local data. Okay. The local data is one that data wherever you are living. For example, if I'm living in Dubai, the local data coming from the various sources, the places. Okay. So if any event is happening, that particular organization, they announce it. Yeah. And another major thing, you might be familiar with the things. What does the things mean? Okay. When it is things, you can just relate it to IoT, Internet of Things, or Internet of Everything. So as you know, most of the things what we are seeing around all connected. It's happening already, and it is projected that for more than 40 million things will be connected in next 5 years or 10 years. So what does it mean? Whatever you are seeing, any kind of things, whatever you are seeing, it belongs to you. Okay, whatever, or to an organization or whatever, these things also started collecting the data. So you can see that's why there is a great explosion of data for the last 5 to 10 years. It's most of the things are connected, most of the people are connected, most of the places are connected, most of our devices are connected. When I say connected, which means all my data is being shared or being collected. Okay, so that is where the data is coming from. Okay, right. So now we can say why the data science. You may, if you just notice, if you are watching the latest IT trends, there are few things that commonly appear. Okay, so if you go and check the latest trends in IT, or if you are a student or research or something, these things will come often. Okay, it starts with data analytics, AI, machine learning, blockchain, and all that. But all these things, if you see, the data is a central point of it. You agree with that? The data is a central point of it, right? So let's see in this slide, I like this picture that says about why data science is so popular. Okay. So as he said, the explosion in mobile apps. As you know, in Apple, so there are 13,000 plus mobile apps are being downloaded and installed. This may be old number because there is old picture. Maybe I am sure it may be more than that now, and it is only for Apple phones, iPhones, right? But Android, think about Android. So around the world, the explosion in mobile apps. When I say mobile apps, when you are installing, you are connected. When you say you are connected, you are sharing the data. Simple, right? The explosion in mobile app, that leads to explosion in data. Okay, explosion is data from different corners of the world. Okay, different corners, like as I said, it coming from you, it coming from places, coming from things, coming from events, all that. So that is a great explosion of data for the last 5 to 10 years, we can say. Okay, and the big data and distributed computing are growing like anything. The infrastructure is excellent, and distributed computing, the network is bigger, and all our networking is growing. Correct, we are moving towards 5G, and many countries started implementing 5G already, and another thing will come in the future. So these computing power is greatly increasing. That is another reason. And there are new machine learning, or machine learning algorithms are coming in the market. Okay, there are a lot of machine learning algorithms. These algorithms also help in identify, or deep learning algorithms are coming into the market. So that is also one of the reasons data science is very popular. And apart from that, there are a lot of open source software. Okay, for example, if you want to analyze the data nowadays, it's very easy. Nothing you have to see. We have the policy called open source, open data source, right? Many of the organizations, many of the government organization, institutions in all around the country, all around the globe, they are openly sharing the data. Okay, you can go to their website, you can go and collect the data. The data is available anywhere, and you don't need to have anything. If you have a Python skills, or if you know basic R programming, if you know how to use Azure Notebook, okay, and if you know something similar to that, okay, Ripple or whatever, the task is very simple. You don't need to spend any money. if you want to start your analysis process. Okay, so you just take the data, you learn something from R or Python, load the data into the open source software and start analyze your data. So that kind of possibilities are available now. And there are specialized hardwares. Okay, uh, as you know, when we talk about the data analytics, it is all about the data. We are going to deal with a huge volume of data. These huge volume of data, if you are going to run an algorithm, maybe your laptop with a very less configuration or a standard configuration may not be possible to compute everything. So there are specialized hardwares are available in the market, and nowadays there is something called edge computing. So you have to do on the fly. You have to do the analysis on the fly. So how can we do that? Okay, edge computing with a more processing powers and all that is available in the market. So these are the reasons why the data science is becoming very, very, very popular nowadays. Okay, right. So when we talk about the data analytics, we can categorize the data analytics into three categories. Okay, we can analyze or we can divide this into three categories or three types of data analytics. The first one is about the inferential data analytics. Okay, inferential is something about what and why it happened. You want to analyze something. Okay, you have the 10 years of data and suddenly something has happened. Okay, this kind of, for example, a technical support. Some app is working for a long time, but suddenly the customer started complaining the app is not responding properly or it is giving an improper result. Okay, it is giving an improper result. So in that kind of scenario, the inferential data analytics will help you to understand what has happened, why it happened. It will tell you what has happened based on the event, based on the data. I can say that this is a thing happened. It will give you some inference about a particular event. That is called inferential data analytics. And second one, we have something called predictive data analytics. Okay, so the predictive data analytics is very, very interesting, where this will tell something about my future. Okay, I have the past data, I have the historical data, I have the historical data. So using predictive data analytics, I can say what is going to happen. I have the 10 years of medical data. In the next 1 year, what is going to happen? I can say that. This is very popular in COVID situation. You might have seen that many companies or organizations, they are predicting. So they say that in India, in this particular point of time, the COVID-19 will go up. In this particular country, it will go down. In next 3 months, it will be like this. How they are able to predict? It's based on the patterns they found from the historical data. Okay, so that is called predictive data analytics, where you can say what will happen in the future, what is going to happen tomorrow. So that is called predictive data analytics. Very best example, the temperature, the weather information. How they are able to say tomorrow the temperature in Dubai will be 45, humidity will be something. How it is possible? It's all predictive based on the historical data. Okay, so that is called predictive data analytics. And third one is called prescriptive data analytics. So this is something like prescription. Okay, so how to avoid the situation? This is going to happen. How can you avoid? What is to be done? The prescriptive data analytics uh, will help you to understand or take some action. Okay, you can take some action based on you take some prescriptive data prescription. So like going to the doctor, the job of the doctor is to make sure it should not affect the patient again, right? So today I have the fever, for example. Tomorrow it has to go down, right? At least in 5 days I want to be cured from the fever, for example. So what the doctor will do? He will prescribe some medicine, right? The same way, the prescriptive data analytics will suggest you, why don't you try these things so that you can avoid this. Okay, something like that. Okay, so remember that the data analytics process, it can be an inferential, it can be predictive data analytics, it can be prescriptive. Sometimes all these together can come along, right? Sometimes people can stop only in inferential, sometimes they wanted to do only predictive, and sometimes they may mix all. So these combinations can be possible in data analytics process. Okay, right. So I believe I have given enough information about the data analytics. So if you want to start with data analytics, you should know these basics, and then you need to understand what actually data is. Okay, data analytics is all about. Now let me introduce about the introduction to artificial intelligence. Okay, so many of us, all of us know that what is an intelligence, right? So when I ask you to define an intelligence, how will you define? What is an intelligence basically? So when I say what is an intelligence, for example, when I want to go out of this room, what are the things I have to do? I know based on my intelligence, I can say that first I have to go stand up from my chair, I have to open the door, and I have to go out, right? So how I know this? This is my intelligence, right? This is a very basic example. We are doing more than a lot of things, right? So that is a kind of a natural intelligence. We call that as a natural intelligence or the God-given intelligence. Okay, all of us human have a God-given intelligence or the nature intelligence. We have something called artificial intelligence. How can I create this intelligence artificially? Okay, so that is why the artificial intelligence. How can I make it unnaturally? How can I make this intelligence unnaturally? Or how can I make a machine to think like a human? That is where the artificial intelligence comes into the picture. Okay, right. So AI is a subfield of computer science. It is going to help you design the program that takes smarter decisions, right? So how my brain is taking smarter decisions when I'm driving on the road. I know when to apply a brake, where I know when to increase my car speed. I know when to take a when I know when to take left, right? When I know when to press the horn, I know all that, right? How I know my brain help me to take smart decision based on the environment, based on the scenario, right? So when I am able to make a program that can take smart decisions, okay, so then I can say that I'm going to implement, I'm designing something called artificial intelligence. Okay, right. So can I make a machine? Okay, can I make a machine that have perceptions and act on it? Like how I, as a human, I have a perception about something, I'm taking some action. Is it possible to make machines to think like a human and take some action? Okay, so that is when you are thinking about it, that is what the artificial intelligence, right? So as I said, are we able to design and implement a system that is able to mimic human cognition? So human cognition, like same like a human brain. How can I make a machine to think like a human? How can I make a machine to take a decision on its own? Okay, so when I'm going to do all that, then I can you are designing an artificial intelligence system. And finally, like human, the machine should be autonomous and adaptable to any environment. Correct? As a human, we are adaptable to any environment. Correct? Most of the people, 99% of the people, we are adaptable to any environment. It will be rainy or it is hot, it's snowy or whatever. We are able to adapt it quickly, and we are autonomous in taking our decision most of the time. If you are an adult, we mostly take our own decisions, right? So how it is possible? Can I design a system? Can I implement a system that system is autonomous and adaptable? So when you are thinking about that, so that is called artificial intelligence. Okay, right. So AI is not actually new. Many of us think that the AI is the latest one, but it is not the new. Okay, so if you are from a computer science background, if you have studied your computer science courses, there are some courses in your second semester and third semester. If you have studied in India, okay, 4 years course, and it's very popular, this Turing test. Okay, so it started in 1950. The very computer scientist named Alan Turing. Okay, he proposed a machine and that can act on its own. Okay, like for example, he just conducted a test where this kind of Q&A, question and answer answering machine. Okay, the quiz machine. So he just tested, and many, and this his test was very successful. Even the human beings cannot able to identify whether they are talking to a machine or a human. So that kind of intelligence he has built in his machine in the Turing test, and it was very successful. And after that, 1955, 61, 64, 66, it was evolved very nicely. Okay, but you can see there is a big break after 1966 and 1997, almost more than 30 plus years. Okay, so as you know, during this time, this AI was considered as an killer of a humanity. It was considered as a killer of a humanity, and people started fearing when we built the human intelligence to a machine, this will get a capability of destroying this world. So this is not going to happen. This is not an system. This is not going to be a system that is going to help the human kind. So it is going to destroy. So we should stop on it. So these 30 plus years is like it was called as an AI cold AI winter period. Okay, so it was in the cold for 30 plus years. And again, 1997, Deep Blue is very very popular. Okay, it's a automatic autonomous chess game, and many of the world chess champions they have played with that, and it was a good thing. You can just check about what is a Deep Blue and all that. Okay, and from then 1997, there is no stop. It started evolving slowly, and many of you are familiar with the Siri, most of you are familiar with the Watson, most of you are familiar with Alexa, right? So all these things have started coming, and AI is on its journey, and it is going to rule the world forever, maybe in next 5 to 10 years. Okay, so a lot of innovations, a lot of things are going to happen after this. Okay, so that is how the AI is evolved during the years. Okay, it is not the new concept. It was introduced even in 1950s. Okay, right. Right. So when now let's see how AI and data analytics are important. Okay. So if you want to compare how AI and data analytics are important, you have to think of a scenario. Okay. Right. So like for example, when we are a child, okay, when I am 2 years or 3 years old, uh, if I have to go, if I had to go out of this room, I may need a help, right? Or I will try to stand up on my own. I will fall and then I will do it. First time I will do with mistakes, and second time, third time, fourth time. After my fifth time, after my 10th time, let's say, I can do it on my own, right? I can easily stand up, I can walk, I open the door, I can go out of this room. So how, if you see what was happening inside the brain, this brain needs some learning, right? It needs to record something inside, right? It needs to record some surrounding. It needs to record what are the objects in front of me. I need to identify what is the. There are so many things going into my brain, right? It needs the data basically. All these are data, like the objects. It's a data. I need to know how many steps I have to take. The number is a data. I need to know how much pressure I have to give to open the door. It's a data. So if you just which direction I have to turn, it's a data. So basically, without data, AI is nothing. Correct? So my brain, if I have to learn, if I have to do some action, this should have happened in my brain before, and I should have recorded so many things. I should have recorded the data, events, and action. Everything is stored here. That is where I can go to the next step. That is where, when it happens, when something happens, I can take a quick action. So the data and AI are very closely related. Okay, the core of AI is the data. So without data, AI is nothing. So let's say one day I just put some injection on your brain. I just delete all your data. Can you just wake up in the morning and you can be usual? You can be usual. It's not possible, right? You cannot be usual. You will think like everything will look new for you. You just see this world like a new. You may forget everything almost, right? So let's say erase all your data in your brain. What will happen? You can say that this cognitive action requires lots of data. Okay, so you can understand the relationship between data and AI. Okay, so the AI in data analytics basically it is in the different layers. Okay, so as you know, data science is a kind of interdisciplinary field. Okay, interdisciplinary field within computer science. We discuss about the data science. So data science is nothing but analyzing the data, processing the data, and then getting the insights from the data. Okay, so all that. Okay, so all these are related to the data science. And if you see machine learning, it is a subfield of AI. Machine learning and AI are not different. AI you can view it like a larger circle. So within AI, we have something called machine learning. Okay, so machine learning is nothing but how can I make a machine to learn without being explicitly programmed? How can I make a machine to take a decision on its own? Okay, how can I make a machine to learn by itself? That is called the machine learning. Okay, so that is where the artificial intelligence. Okay, so artificial intelligence is a part of the science where it is going to augment the human intelligence, going to mimic the human intelligence with different means. How it can do? It has to go through. It has to do that with the help from the data science as well as the machine learning. Okay, so just remember that is the relationship between an AI and data analytics. Okay, right. So when we talk about the AI in data analytics, it has to go through. If you remember, I told about the first example where the number 40 is converted into an action knowledge. It's a normal data, how it was converted in information and knowledge, and finally it helps us to take action. So when we talk about AI in data analytics, it will go through these different processes. The first one, as I said, data acquisition. I'm not sure you are able to read this. Okay, data acquisition, where we are going to collect and explore the data. First, if I want to create an AI system, first I should know I have to collect the data, correct? If I want to learn driving a cycle, okay, or a scooter, first thing you have to collect the data. You should know how I am going to learn this, right? You should know about what is the height of the scooter and what are the different controls I have. Okay, so if I pedal fast, how it will, how to stop the bike and all that, I should know all this information, right? So that is what collecting and exploring the data, first step. Second one, I have to start learning, right? I have to start learning. I will start driving the bike and I will hit somewhere, or I will hit on an obstacle, or I will slide somewhere, and all that are learning process. The same way, I will make models, okay? And then based on the models, I will try to predict. I will try to make some perfections in the model. I will try to run the model, and I will try to run and again to see how much accurate the results are giving out. Okay. So I will try to give old data. I will try to give a new data. I will try to make it learn and try to make the prediction and accuracy. Okay. The accuracy is something about the system to revalidate. As I said, first I will create one model. I will feed into my system, AI system, and it will run, and I will see what is the output, what is the accuracy, is it really correct? I will revalidate everything. If it is not, I will make some modifications to my data. I will run again. Okay, right. And based on that output, I would give the system can give the recommendation. Okay, so what it can take. So this is a part of maybe a prescriptive data analytics, where based on my data, based on my system revalidation, I would suggest what steps I need to take. Okay, and finally I will assess the steps and action. Okay, I will assess the steps whether I can. So I can say that the AI system will recommend 1 2 3 4, recommendation 1 2 3 4. In that, I will assess them. I may not be able to take all the action. I have to assess them. Okay, the recommendation one, it is good. I'm going to go ahead and implement that. So in that way, the data analytics and AI will go through a different phases throughout the journey. Okay, right. Okay, so now let's try to understand what is the machine learning. Okay, so as I told you before, machine learning is a subfield or a subset of AI. Okay, so as you can see from the definition or from the wordings machine learning, you should be able to understand that how you can make the machine to learn, how I can make a dumb machine to learn. That is very important, right? The machine doesn't have anything. The computer or laptop doesn't have anything. We as a human, we are making it to work for us, right? So let's try to define what is the machine learning. Okay, the machine learning, it learns from existing data to give nearly correct response. Okay, when there is a machine, I give lots of data. I give last 5 years of data. Okay, tell me what I have to do for the next 5 years. Simple as it is, right? So I am going to give from the existing data whether my machine will be able to learn. Okay, here, without human, it's not going to happen. Okay, so model often built by human and the machine is trained using existing data. Yes, the model is going to build by the human and it is going to be feed into the AI system, and then it will start learning on its own. Okay, so that is called machine learning. So simply to say how you can make a machine to learn by itself and work like a human. Okay, so that is what the basic definition is all about. Okay, so I love this particular slide. This infographics is very good. It basically says about what are the very commonly used machine learning techniques. It's very good. As you can see here, the machine learning, basically you can categorize the machine learning aspects into three areas. One is like a supervised learning, another one is unsupervised learning, and another one is called reinforced learning. Okay, so all these are the different kinds or categories within the machine learning. So within supervised learning, if you see, there are very two popular algorithms called classification and regression. These two are very popular. And another thing, knowingly or unknowingly, we are using this system on a regular basis. All of us, when we are using some mobile, without our knowledge, we can say that some AI algorithm or machine learning algorithm is running behind to give you the result. Okay, classification is very best example where it is useful for many things. Okay, identifying the fraud transaction or the fraud transaction in a bank. Okay, for example, or I want to see the counterfeit labels in a food or a drug or a medicine. So it will be very useful. And classify the image. Okay, when you give the image, where on the road you can see that whether the image is an object, this
Yes, sir, you're audible.
okay. Sorry, okay. Let me just share the content again. Can you see my screen now? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue. So sorry for the interruption. Let's continue. Okay, so here when we talk about the machine learning, so these classifications, one of the supervised learning, the classification algorithm is very popular, where it is used for image classification, customer retention. Okay, so in a shopping or the retail environment, keeping the customers is very important. Okay, you can see customer retention, and mainly the diagnostics is very popular in the medical field, where based on the different images it can diagnose what kind of diseases the people are having. Okay, so that is a part of supervised learning. Okay, and regression is another one, where it will help you to go for the market forecasting. Okay, market forecasting or weather forecasting, all these things are population growth prediction or estimating life expectancy. So all these are related to the regression type of learning. Okay, supervised learning, where the supervised learning is something like where you will have a control over how your model should behave. Okay, so you have the control over many configuration parameters, where these algorithms you have the control. You can say if these results are not coming good, you have the freedom to change some, fine tune your results. Okay, and you can constantly give your data and make the program or model to perform correctly. Whereas when unsupervised learning, okay, there are two things: the clustering and the dimensionality reduction. Clustering is a very popular, where the customer segmentation. Okay, so many of us have used Amazon or something, or the recommender system. Okay, if you have used any online retail websites like Amazon or anything you take, it mostly you can see the people bought this, sometimes they bought this one also. Or when you are watching a movie in a Netflix, since you watch this movie, here are some recommended movies. So when you have these when you see these kind of recommendation system, they that mostly use a clustering. So clustering is something like grouping the people based on what they have done, based on their behavior in the data. Okay, and based on the data, you can group them, you can cluster them. Okay, and this will be very useful in customer segmentation and targeted marketing. So targeted marketing is something like if you are the running a grocery shop and you are going to plan for a discount, you are going to offer something, you don't have to send to all your customers. Based on the data, you read the behavior and you know which group of people will be interested to buy a particular product, and you go for it, you just to target them. Okay, that is called targeted marketing. Okay, and dimensionality reduction is another one, where the structural discovery or big data visualizations and all that are very useful in the dimensionality reduction. And apart from that, many of us, you might use the game AI. Okay, game artificial intelligence, where the game object or the actor will behave based on the scenario or the environment. Okay, it can act accordingly, it can easily detect who is coming behind, or how, what is obstacle in front, what is obstacle is going to come, and all that it can predict. Okay, that is called the reinforcement learning technique, whether this is also very popular in machine learning, algorithm. Okay, so another thing is something like robo navigation. Okay, so robo navigation is also very popular, where the robo will decide how to navigate based on the current scenario. Okay, so that uses a reinforcement or a deep learning techniques, where it will mostly help in the real time decisions. Okay, like robots, they have to take a real time decision. It has to walk. If there is an obstacle, immediately it has to take some action. There is no time for it, right, to think and do some action. So that is why the reinforcement learning comes into the picture. So the ML technique broadly categorized into unsupervised, supervised, and reinforcement learning. And all these learning techniques have its own advantages and own applications in different fields. Okay? Right. So let me just talk about the AI use cases. Okay. So as you know, the AI has its use cases in multiple places. Okay. So here this particular picture infographics that clearly told about where this hot or very particularly where it is used. Okay. So for example, healthcare is very popularly used. Okay. So as you can see here in healthcare, like a medical imaging or a disease detection or discovering a new drugs. Okay, and mining EHR means employee health records and do something, giving a personalized treatment. Okay, or using a wearables, how you can have a preventive mechanism. Okay, to alert the patients, right? So that is very popular, very useful in healthcare. So in marketing, as we discussed, the recommendation systems are very, very popular, and how to advertisement based on the targeting the customers, correct customers. Instead of advertising to everyone, you can just target a particular customers, a particular group of customers. Okay, right. And transport is another area where the autonomous cars and autonomous drones are very popular. It's coming up. And industry 4.0 revolution, you might have heard about it, and AI is the core of industrial 4.0, right? AI plays a very major role. Of course, there are other technologies like IoT and other things, but if you see the core of a industrial 4.0 revolution is about the artificial intelligence. Okay, so automation of everything, right, and robotics. So this is where most of the people are fearing now. The people think that when everything is going to be automated, it is going to affect the human job. No, it is not. As I said, always remember, the AI depends on the human. It is not going to act on its own. Maybe it will happen not now immediately, we don't know, it may happen in the future, but as of now it needs a human, right? It needs human at least to implement them. It cannot work, it cannot, I mean, they are not going to rule more than human. The humans are always going to be superior. Okay, it is going to create a lot of jobs in a different ways. Okay, in industry 4.0. And then in security, it's very interesting. In many countries, they are using for counting and crowd behavior. Okay, so like for example, if some violence is going to happen somewhere, okay, the AI based cameras can help you to understand the behavior of this crowd, whether this crowd are going to disperse in some time or they are going to turn into violent. What they are going to do, the AI based cameras can tell you. Okay, it can say that this crowd looking dangerous, you have to take action. Okay, so and then in the personal level, it can be used in the cameras with intrusion detection. And then in malware, okay, some if unwanted files or whatever is coming, it will help you to identify the malware. Okay, and then in retail also very popular, payments, okay, or the recommendation, virtual stylist, visual search, inventory optimization, for all that it is very powerful. And insurance and banking, finance and insurance, BFI. Okay, banking, finance, insurance is very, very popular area where AI is particularly applied for many things. Okay, so nowadays in many banks in UAE, and I'm sure even in India, in any other countries, you don't have to walk into the branch for opening an account, right? You can just take a photo and you can scan your ID card, passport, or whatever, and all these things can be done in a matter of seconds. So how this is possible? This is part of AI, right? Right. So if you take a, finance, banking, finance industry, KYC is very important. Know your customer. So most of the banking and bank BFI institutions around the globe, they are using AI for the KYC purpose, know your customer purpose. And apart from that, how to prevent the fraud, how to automate the claims. So all these things are greatly uses AI algorithms. Okay, So this is a very short view. Here is a detailed view. I'm not going into the each and every detail. Maybe when I share this PowerPoint, I request you to please go through this area. It's very good. You can see here, it almost touch everything, right? There is no field we can leave out. You can just name it. This is politics and government. It's there for the events, for insurance, for the smart homes, in defense, in social networking, in healthcare, online shopping, sports, okay, entertainment, media, gaming. You just list out. So the AI has its footprint on all of these areas, all of these business domains, okay, all of these business verticals. You can see there are a lot of use cases in AI. I'm not going into deep into any of this. I request you to please go through this when you get time. Okay, right. So let's see quickly see the most popular use cases. Okay, I wanted to cover only these three popular use cases. Okay, so one is about self-driving cars, another one is about recommendation system, and then object detection. Okay, right. So you might be heard about the self-driving cars. Okay, self-driving cars are nothing but the cars without a human being, without a driver. You just have to get into the car. You just say you have to say your location. It will drop you there. When you need it, it will come to your place. You have to go there. So driverless cars are called self-driving cars. So you can think about self-driving cars, what it is needed. It combines many things, right? So when I am here, I am in a location A, I wanted to go to location B. The first thing, there should be an algorithm that should run inside the car, and it should tell me that to from A to B, what is the shortest route. I should know, the system should tell me. And then the computer vision, okay, it has to detect the obstacles, pedestrians. Is there any child is crossing? Is there anything is coming in between? How the car can stop and take some action like a human being. Okay, and decision making under uncertainty. Suddenly there is an flooding and all that coming. How it can stop. Okay, so all that it has to deal with. So self-driving cars are already coming into the market, and we can see a lot of growth in the coming years. Okay, and second one is our recommendation system. I included this because many of us are familiar with this, right? Many of us are familiar with this. If you're watching on Amazon, Netflix, or anything, even Facebook or anything, in LinkedIn, everywhere it says the suggestions, right? Recommended systems, recommended connections, recommended books, recommended toys, recommended. So wherever you see this recommended keyword, so these things basically use some kind of AI algorithm where it fetch your data, learn from what you have done in the past or what the similar customers like you have done in the past based on the data. Okay, so that is recommendation system is another very popular thing, and another one is object detection in images is very popular in security. As I said, for the government security professionals like police or any department monitoring the traffic, they wanted to monitor a particular object, particular car. Okay, so these kind of things are very popular. Particular person, even in many countries they are using this, and popularly the computer vision is very popular. Okay, the computer vision is a very popular technique used in machine learning and AI algorithms that is used to detect an object. So this is a very good area. If you are planning to go for a PhD or going to plan for a master's, you can go for this specialization. It is very interesting. As well as if you have some basic knowledge in Python, Python is very powerful. They have OpenCV library. You can directly use this, and it can do a lot of things, and a hell lot of resources are available in the internet. Okay, this is a very interesting area. If anyone, you can just directly go into it with some basic programming. You can start from that. You can use OpenCV library in Python. You can use Azure notebook or something. You just play around with that. Very interesting topic. Okay, this technique, computer vision, is popular in security as well as self-driving cars. Okay, so I request you to please go through this. These are the three different use cases I wanted to share. Okay, well, now let me quickly share with you how this AI is during COVID-19. If you remember, I told you that in the past, maybe in 1960s, it was given as like this is going to kill the humanity. It's not that. AI is came as a AI is becoming a savior for many of the lives now. Especially during this pandemic situation, COVID-19 situation, I will quickly list out how AI has its imprint. Okay, first one, the drones. You might have seen in even in India or in many countries, the drones are very heavily used to sanitize the places, correct, or to monitor the movement of the people, correct. So all that, so all these drones basically uses some kind of AI algorithm. When monitoring the crowd, it basically uses a computer vision technique to see the people crowd and just take some action. Drones are very, very popular and very heavily used during this COVID-19 situation across the world. Okay. Second one, molecular structure. Many people, as you know, the people, the pharmacists and the medical scientists are struggling to find a medicine for COVID-19. You know that there is a vaccine for COVID-19. People have started working on it across the globe to save the human beings, right? So using AI algorithm, they create the molecular structures are very, very helpful to understand and very helpful to take a quick drug combination and formula, and they are working on it, right? And next one, the face detection. Okay, so recently you might have seen in many in LinkedIn and even in many places, and there are algorithm that detects whether I'm using a face mask or not. Okay, the face detection is very popular, getting very popular. So in the crowd, for the organization or the government institution, they want to see whether the people are wearing a mask. There is an algorithm already out there, and there people are using it, how to detect people with a mask on them. Okay, this is face detection is very popular and very, very highly used in COVID-19. And robots are very popular, as you know. These COVID-19 positive patients, they have to be isolated. Okay, what does it mean? It is easily, it's a pandemic, it can easily spread to other people, right? So what is the way out? So how can I, so even if the healthcare worker is like a doctor or a healthcare or any other worker is going to treat them, they have to give some medicines regularly. So how can we ensure that the other humans are not affected? The robots are used in many places for many purposes to meet the COVID-19 positive patients and give them a prescription food or something. And then it also used in many airports and other places just to give you the information about the pandemic situation and on all that. And robots are heavily used during this COVID-19 situation in many countries. Okay, and finally, medical imaging. You know that COVID-19 positive patients are mostly affected with the lungs. Okay, their lungs are heavily affected. Okay, so many scientists around the world, they are using AI techniques to understand and easily detect and identify and COVID-19 affected lungs. Okay, this is very interesting, right? So if it is not there, manually they have to verify, or there may be another system, it will take longer. So in COVID-19, identifying the patients very quickly is a key, right? To give a proper medications. So using medical imaging, people are easily diagnosed and being prescribed and given medicines at proper time. Okay, as easy as early as possible. So these are the areas where the AI is saving lives during this pandemic situation. Okay, right. So finally, Stephen Hawking is one of the popular scientists from UK, right? So he is telling that these computers will take human with AI with the next 10 years, 100 years. Okay, when that happens, we need to make sure that the computers have goals aligned with ours. Yes, we should make sure that what he's trying to say is anytime the robots will take over us, so we should have more control over it. Okay, maybe in next 100 years. And another one from Dave Waters, he say once you trust a self-driving car with your life, you pretty much will trust artificial intelligence with anything. That's true, right? When I say that this car can go from destination A to B without hitting or without making any accidents, if I trust that, I am sure I can trust anything that AI is going to do, right? So that is what I wanted to conclude. Okay, that was my final slide. Thank you so much for listening and for all your time. I can spend few minutes or I can spend some time. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. So
Thank
I
you.
think it's a very interesting session for our students. So thank you once again, sir. So now this is a querying session. Anybody interested can give your questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Uh, the information delivered by you is very useful and inspiring.
Great.
Uh, Sir, at this situation, internet is the only source for gather more information.
Right.
In this situation, what are the best online sources for gather more information about analytics, data analytics, and artificial intelligence? Sir?
Excellent. You asked that. See, there are many online websites available. Okay, for learning about AI and data analytics, and for students, to start with, if you are a basic, if you are taking your first step, there are websites like Coursera or Udacity, okay, or EDX, okay. I will send you the list. There are a lot of websites, okay, lot of website that will allow you to do a basic certification, okay. So I recommend the Coursera is one of them, where you can find the content from very well-known universities and reputed universities around the world. So that can be your first step, okay. So check it in. Coursera is one of them, and EDX is another useful website where you can go and register for a free courses, okay. There are a lot of free courses available, so that is a place you can start with. Answer your
Yes,
question.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions you have?
Hello, sir. This is Alisha.
Yeah,
Hope you're doing great and you're safe.
yeah, I am safe, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I actually have an interest about the recent riot in America. So you should have known it, right, sir?
I didn't get you. Can you please louder? I didn't get your question.
No, sir. I'm actually interested in asking something about the recent riot outbreak in America.
Recent what?
Recent riot in America, sir. The black race.
Okay, okay,
And we actually came across crowd counting, right, sir, when we are
right,
in session.
right.
Do you think they have implemented the crowd counting in the
Of course,
country?
I am sure they might have used, but I'm not sure they have used in this event. Okay, so whatever even happening in US, I'm not sure about that they have used, but that is the scope of one of these crowd behavior analysis tool. Okay, but I have learned in China and other countries they have used this. Okay, and okay, is the answer to the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
Okay.
how is it possible, sir?
How is it possible? Because see, most of the organizations around the world, most of the countries around the world, they have CCTVs placed right in the roads
Yes,
for
yes,
monitoring the
yes,
traffic and monitoring the people movement and everything. Okay,
yes,
so based on the
yes.
data in an AI algorithm, based on the classification, let's say even for the social distancing, there is an AI algorithm. Okay, in the road, how people are going very close, or there is an mathematical calculation, mathematical algorithm that will see how much people are close together. Okay, when suddenly see in a place, for example, there is a place A. Okay, usually in that place for the last 6 months, only 5 people used to gather. Okay, maximum, let's say there is a limit of 10 people gather, but suddenly in a particular place there are some 100 people are gathering. Then this can be identified as this. They will count the number of objects. Then this can be identified as something is going wrong there, right? So that is how a crowd algorithm will work. Fine.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. And somebody asked about how AI is used in IoT. AI and IoT. Somebody was asking that question. I can see that. See, basically, IoT, what it do basically, we are using IoT, Internet of Things, to collect the data, right? The collect that maybe the data about the environment, or it can be data about the person, or it can be data about machines or anything, right? Basically. So when we collect the data, how can I? So simple example, let's say there is a old people, they are wearing an they have some wearable that will constantly monitor the health data. So using AI algorithm, I can predict. So every day I record the data. When any time, any point of time, if it is going up or down based on the previous history, based on the previous treatment, I can immediately alert the doctor. Correct? So I can use some AI algorithm for that to identify how this is basically the combination of IoT, data analytics, and AI. Okay, so IoT is a wearable device which has sensors that will sense and collect the health data. One, okay, and it is stored in the data. It will be analyzed and processed, and AI algorithm will be able to predict something is going to happen and alert the doctor. Okay, so that is a combination of these things. Do you have any other questions? I see some more questions in the chat window. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Two more questions are there. Can you
Okay.
please?
What is the question? Can you read out the question?
It is there in the chat box also.
1 minute. Let me see.
Hmm.
It is in the chat box. 1 minute. Where is it? I'm not able to get that. Wait. Okay. I need a clarification regarding AI in. I'm not able to see that chat window. 1 minute. Let me check. Okay, let me check. Wait. Yeah, chat is here. Okay. Okay. So I have got Ram Prabha. I have answered your question. Can you say a few points on AI in IoT? I think I have answered. Suggest some research problem using AI in analytics. There are a lot of areas is there, especially for AI. Okay, as I said, the computer vision is very popular. Using a deep learning algorithms like neural network or something, you can use it for computer vision for identifying the objects. Okay, and all that. There are a lot of areas. Okay, in research areas, a lot of areas are there. I need a clarification regarding AI in medical applications, specifically AI in cancer classification. Yes, of course. Okay. As I said, if you remember in one of the slides, I uh, told you about the classification algorithm. So classification algorithms used in machine learning are very, very popular, where it is capable of comparing the images and say the possible cancer I mean the cancer patient. It can easily predict. Okay. So there are many algorithms are available already. When you want to say about the accuracy level, you have if you are going to do a PhD, you can take that as already existing algorithm and try to see what is accuracy it is giving, and you try to change some parameters and try to do some enhancement to the code and see how you can improve the accuracy level. Okay, so in that way that will be helpful. So I hope I have answered for Revati Nanjapan. Yeah.
So 2 more questions are there.
Where is that?
It's that there in the chat box. Can you see?
I answered that questions, Sony. See, I answered question from Revati Nanjapan and then Queen and then Ram Prabhavi.
No, Sanya Mohan is there.
Okay, just now it's coming up. Wait.
Yeah.
Whether we can have any kind of precaution reduce the distraction caused by AI. What kind of distraction? So as I said, when you make a robot, right, the robot is under your control, right? It's created by human. Okay, so it is not going to make any distraction until otherwise you make your robot to do something. Okay, let's say your code is let's say you have uploaded a program in a robot, just for an example. Okay, so this program is crashed. Okay, this program is crashed and this can the robot can turn violent. Okay, so that is up to it is in the human hands. It is not going to make any distraction basically. Okay, the AI as I said, any technology introduced in the market, it can have its both positive and minus. Okay, it can be used for good purposes and worse purposes, like a hacking. There is ethical hacking as well as other way of doing the hacking. In the same way, it is depends on how it is used. That's why many government organizations around the world, they are writing or they are formulating a strict guidelines on how to use AI technology in a more meaningful way. Okay. Recently, I watched a movie in Malayalam. It's Android Kunjapan. Yeah. If you haven't watched the movie, I recommend you to watch since it is related to AI. So this concept, I like the concept very much. They created a robo for an old age father because he need to work outside his hometown. Okay, so he decided to make the hero decided to make an robo to keep with him. Okay, to engage him all the time. So at one point of time, that old father he got very fond of robo. Okay, he got very fond of robo. He thought it's a real human. He don't want to take it back, but this guy he wanted to take back the robo, but it is not his father is not ready to give. So that kind of attachment, and it was very interesting movie. I'm not going to reveal the climax here. Okay, I request you to please go and watch. Since this is related to Sanya Mogan question, I'm just shared this thing.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
That's great. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you very much for your time attending this. Hope to meet you in next seminar session. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think everyone got their answers. So now we came to the feedback session, and I invite our students to give their feedback.
Are they
Hi,
going
sir.
to? Yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. Salisha here.
Yeah, Tanisha, tell me.
Actually, this is the second time I've ever been in your seminar. The first one was the blockchain seminar, and now it is data analytics and AI.
Right.
I would like to state some two things about your teaching, sir.
Okay.
The first one is that whatever topic you take, you just relate it with all the real world stuff happening. So I think that is very interesting, and I could understand more when we relate and learn. So that is the first thing, sir.
Great.
The second thing is that you take a unit and you shred it into pieces and you start teaching from the micro level. I think that's really too good, sir. I actually
Okay.
like that in your teachings always.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much. Thank you so much, sir. And I am really looking forward for another seminar.
Sure, sure. We will meet
Thank you.
again and again. Okay.
Thank you.
I will
Sure.
pull all out my knowledge and I will give it to you. Okay. You can make use of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Shivashakti from Department of Information Technology, Ponchesli College of Engineering.
Yes,
In
yes,
this,
Shakti.
we think that we are living with human and ruling by human, but the reality is we are living with robots and ruling by robots. At the same time, when we think about robots, they are evenly working like a man. We know that with the help of artificial intelligence, they are working like a man, but we don't know how exactly it is happening. But today, after attending this webinar conducted by Department of Information Technology, Ponchesli College of Engineering, with the resource person, Mr. Ramakrishnan, really gave a spark to search about and collect more information about artificial intelligence and data analytics. First, sir explained about data analytics, how the data is predicted and more. Major information is with and without our knowledge, our data gets sharing. Second, he explained about artificial intelligence, autonomous and adaptable of human and machines. According to my knowledge, this is 100% useful for both technical and non-technical people. Finally, I need to say thanks to our department HOD, Ponchesli College of Engineering, for taking steps to enhance our knowledge through these types of webinars. And I am responsible for saying thanks to our resource person, Mr. Ramakrishnan, who gave very good information. Stay safe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivashakti and Salisha. So this is the time for vote of thanks. I invite our beloved HOD, Dr. Manjusi Thayaman, who is the backbone for conducting this event today, to provide the vote of thanks for us. Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of Department of Information Technology, my heartfelt thanks to one and all those who directly and indirectly contributed for this webinar. First, I'd like to thank God Almighty for His grace for helping us to conduct this international webinar in a successful way. I'd like to thank our chairman, Sri Pon Robert Singh, for his constant support and encouragement in all the activities. I'd also like to thank our principal. My sincere thanks to today's resource person, Mr. Ramakrishnan from Dubai, who gave a very good knowledge about AI and data analytics. Thank you very much, sir, for spending your precious time. I'd like to thank all the head of departments for their kind cooperation. I'd like to thank my department faculty members for their hard and dedicated work. My sincere thanks to our professor, Dr. Anthony Vishwasarani, for arranging the speaker, and our webinar coordinator, Mrs. Gio Jennifer, and our final year student, Vinil, for their sincere work. Finally, I'd like to thank
all the students, those who have participated from India and abroad. Thank you, one and all.
We can disconnect, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you, ma'am.
everyone, for participating in this event today. The feedback link is open there. Students, you can fill the feedback link now. Within 15 minutes, it will be disabled. So before that, please fill up that feedback link to get your certificates. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you. See you again all. Yeah.